Okay, good evening. We will start the Haywarden City Council, Haywarden, Iowa, to order on Wednesday, November the 10th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. All present are staff and council members. Absent this evening is Jim Pickner, our city attorney. First standard agenda item is 1A, approval of the October 27th, 2021 regular city council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet since Friday, council persons. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. Questions or clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor then of the approval of the October 27th meeting, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 5-0, Jacob. Next is approval of claims for payment for today. We'll start to my left with Rob for questions.
No questions.
Jen?
No question.
John?
None, thank you.
Travis?
None, thank you.
Tim? None. There's been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then the approval of the November 10th claims for payment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Next agenda item 1C, open business from the community. Hearing none, we'll move on to the mayor's report. We congratulate the West Sioux football team on their successful season and wish them the best of luck for their semifinal playoff game this Friday against Dyke New Hartford. Tomorrow, November 11th, is Veterans Day. We celebrate and honor Americans, veterans, for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Veterans Day was first celebrated as Armistice Day, the day that marked the end of World War I, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. As President John F. Kennedy once said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Thank you to all of those that ran for the West Sioux School Board, Haywarden Regional Healthcare Board, and the City of Haywarden City Council. Congratulations to the winners as we all work together to make great things happen here in Haywarden. Thank you to those who make up the Haywarden Parks and Recreation Committee and for their successful bingo night to raise funds for the new dog park. Also, we thank them for funding the 5 dog waste stations put up along the recreation trails. When you're walking your pets, please use the bags available, obviously, from the waste stations. And lastly, Habitat for Humanity Stud Finder Family Night, Thursday, November the 18th from 4:30 to 6. This will be at 2015 Central Avenue at the Habitat for Humanity home. Get to see the progress there and meet the Sabin family and also the sponsored studs that are in place. A time of prayer and thanksgiving will be held at 5:30, and there will be a free pumpkin painting and a free will donation meal there. So an opportunity to see the progress on Haywarden's first home of Habitat for Humanity. We'll move to staff reports, and we will start with Jacob, please.
Well, as you guys see on the agenda, we've got our urban renewal report and our AFR in for the last fiscal year. And as we wrap that up, my next things on the list will be looking at doing the budget. So,
Okay. Thank you. Travis, please.
As part of our public awareness program, we used to pay a company to make phone calls and do a survey. But with the amount of landlines decreasing every year, it's getting harder to make our goals of trying to get 10% respondents. So this year we're going to try something a little different. In the outgoing month's utility bill this month, everyone will receive a survey. If they fill it out and they bring it back by December 5th, they'll be entered to win some chamber bucks. We're going to give away $100, $50, and 2 $25 prizes. And this is still just a third of the cost that we were paying the company to make those calls. So this way we can give back to the customers. They could possibly win some money, and hopefully we get a lot more feedback on those surveys. This is one area that the Iowa Utility Board looked at during our last gas inspection because we just weren't meeting our goals with those telephone calls. So we brainstormed and came up with a new way. So we'll try it this year, and if it's a success, we'll keep going. I was recently at the Missouri River Energy annual meeting. Major update was there will be no electric rate increase this year. Next year, WAPA will be completing a rate study because we'll be on the last year of our 5-year contract. With that being said, they did lose a very large amount of money last February, the 10 days of the polar vortex. Hydro did not produce enough power, even though the Army Corps upgraded the amount of flow that was to the generators, so they were actually producing more than they normally would at that time. But they still had to buy electricity on the market, and it was very high prices. So WAPA's going to see a estimated $100 to $110 million loss this year, but they can average that over a 10-year payback. So there's a good chance there will be a small increase in our WAPA price, and that would start January of 2023. So.
Great, thanks for looking out for the consumers. Mike?
The only thing I have is we might want to look at holding a special meeting next week, Wednesday evening or Thursday or Friday, which would take the place of our second meeting in November. Just kind of wondering what anybody has open. Just taking a poll, see if you guys are okay with Wednesday, late afternoon, evening. Sorry to spring it on you. But
Sure. Wednesday, not Thursday, Friday, I won't be here.
and you know, we can make it at the normal 5:30 time.
Okay.
Wednesday's fine.
Okay.
Should work.
All right, so we will have a special meeting next Wednesday at 5:30. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Corey?
I got the honor of going to the school here last week, and they took 2 students from each class for Student of the Month for PBIS, and we had cookies with Corey and kind of talked about being good citizens and, you know, making right choices and being a leader amongst your peers. And we got to decorate cookies and enjoy that, and so it was nice to do. I was up at the school today for the Veterans Assembly, and very nice ceremony. Other than that, we've just been doing the regular stuff.
Good, and we're a chance of, I didn't say the snow word, but chance of that coming up, so parking reminders?
Yep. We want to make sure that everybody understands that don't park in the street overnight. It's pretty simple.
Seems to be.
It seems to be. It's a learning curve for about the first month, but we figure it out towards the end.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for representing police department up there with Corey and the cook. I bet
It was neat.
those young people are wonderful kids.
Yep, they are.
Good. Carol, hi again.
Hi.
Any report from you, please?
Well, it's been I would call a busy couple of weeks. To start out with, I've been working with 3 individuals on some new projects here in town. We were able to put 1 property under contract, so hopefully we'll get that closed and have another new business in town, which would be exciting. We are going to include in the utility bill this month a little flyer that's going to tell you about an upcoming labor shed survey that they're doing for economic development for the state of Iowa. So the residents some of them will be getting random phone calls in requesting some information, which is important for everybody when you get a call to participate. The flyer kind of gives them all the information. We are starting on a couple new projects with some revolving loan fund type monies to fill out paperwork and grants and try to get that going. I do have one individual that would like to do some remodeling. There is a grant available for that we're going to try to get. So Just kind of getting my feet wet, staying busy, and it's been very, very exciting that people really want to start businesses.
Good, thanks for your energy in that, and you'll find, as we've noted, great people throughout northwest Iowa to interconnect to in other towns, and
The economic development people from the other cities in Sioux County have been fantastic to work with.
great, thank you so much. Moves us to council comments. Anything, Jen?
No comments.
Rob, John, Travis, Tim?
Not tonight.
That'll move us into other agenda items. Agenda item number 3 would be Resolution 2021-44, resolution adopting the City of Haywarden Employee Personnel Manual. We discussed much of that last week. Give an overview with that.
The manual hasn't been updated since, what did I say, 2013? We took some of the language out that had to do with part-time employees and things like that, since we just don't have any that fall under the guidelines of that. We also discussed the residency restrictions and the sick leave. So we've made those changes in there. We just need to officially approve it.
Good, and thanks for staying on top of all those different entities, such as the Employee Personnel Manual. Is there a motion for Resolution 2021-44?
So moved.
Moved by Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2021-44.
Kurth.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Bucky.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-44 passes. Agenda item number 4. First would be 4A, a public hearing on vacating alley and authorizing final disposition of real estate. Just give us an overview before I open up the public hearing, please.
Chris Woodley lives at 1516 Avenue F. There is a unmaintained alley to the south of his place. And actually, if you look at an overview of the map, part of his garage and his fence are on that alley. Chris has expressed an interest in to purchase that. We've kind of gone through this process before, but we had the wrong legal description that was put in there when we went to file the deed. So this is redoing that, that part.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wish to comment in regards to this vacating the alley and the final disposition? Council members, did you hear anything from the public to the
Nothing.
city offices? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. That leads us then to Resolution 2021-45. Is there a motion for that resolution?
So moved.
Moved by John, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. Roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2021-45.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-45 passes. Agenda item number 5, this would be a Resolution 2021-46, agreeing to become a member of the Northwest Iowa Safety Group and IAMU agreement for the City of Haywarden. I'll refer to Travis for further information.
In the past, we've hired Safety Made Simple, Tom Farnsworth. He comes here and gives our safety classes throughout the year. Did a pretty good job, but it was classroom study and a little monotonous, but that's with some of the safety stuff. And we were following all the OSHA requirements, which ones need to be done yearly, which ones every other year, and then tracking that as well. That's kind of all we were getting out of the program. Reached out to some of the neighboring communities, Akron, Inwood, Orange City, Remsen, Rock Valley, Rock Rapids, Sheldon, Sioux Center. They're all part of a 28E group, that safety group. They pay dues to, and then there's one safety trainer in Northwest Iowa that goes around monthly and does hands-on training, go out If it's for electrical, they'll get the bucket truck out and do bucket rescue, some of these safety things that we've been trying to do on our own, and they'll take care of it. And also they'll do custom hazard, walk around our workspace, see if there's any OSHA violations, as well as if we do have an OSHA inspection or even an accident, that person will come and help us through all the paperwork and everything. So just asking that we go ahead and join the group. Cost-wise, it is $12,896 per year. We were paying about $3,500 previously. Then this will be split up between, each utility. So if you're looking at it that way, then it's street, everybody will split up that cost.
So this is different than what we've used in the past?
Yep.
Seems like if we avoid accidents, that's a great idea. It's 12,000 is nothing, and one accident would be, so it's good.
Seems like maybe they'd get more out of it than, like what you said, the classroom.
Yes, I believe so.
Yep. To have hands-on and
Mm-hmm.
and to have somebody dedicated to help. So, yeah.
Was that a 1 year, or is that,
That's 1 year,
it doesn't
starting
work
in,
out, you can always revert back?
correct.
Further questions?
So moved.
There's been a motion by Travis,
Second?
seconded by Tim, for Resolution 2021-46, becoming a member of the Northwest Iowa Safety Group, IAMU agreement for the city of Haywarden. Roll call vote then, please, for Resolution 2021-46.
Kurth,
Aye.
Glucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-46 passes. Thanks for keeping our employees safe. Agenda item number 6, approval of the development agreement with People's Bank. I'll ask Mike for an overview of that.
Back in March, we had conversations with both council and People's Bank. We even amended our urban renewal plan to include this in it. We just didn't do a written development agreement signed by all the parties. Part of that agreement, if you remember right, was we would concrete the alley to the east of where the new bank is going. In exchange, they would agree not to apply for the tax abatements, which they're entitled to. And just doing the figuring, engineers, the actual estimate on the alley is about $62,000 that came in to concrete that. And then we had about $3,000 to replace a shed that was encroaching on one of the neighbors' alleys. They agreed to allow us to take down their shed, and in return we put up gave them a pre-built shed. We figured if People's Banks would go for the tax abatement, we'd be looking at roughly about $90,000 to $105,000 over the duration of their tax abatement. So actually it was a win for them, I believe, and also a good deal for us. So this would just be to approve that development agreement, to get it signed, so we can get it in the file and have it become an official part of the record.
Is there a motion for approval of the development agreement with People's Bank?
So moved.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor of that agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Those
Abstain.
opposed? Passes 4 to 1 abstention. Do they know when that alleyway would be completed? Are they hoping yet?
It won't be this fall. They want to do it when they do the parking lot.
Okay.
It'd probably be closer to the last things done, because they run that heavy equipment and stuff in and out of it.
Thank you. And again, we thank People's Bank for their investment there. Agenda item number 7, this would be the third and final reading of Ordinance 739, Ordinance on the Code of Ordinances, City of Haywarden amending the water rates. We've discussed this numerous times. We've had, when we do this water rate increase, if it passes tonight, puts us still in the bottom third roughly, right, Travis? Is that up?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just to keep up with our rates and bring back our reserves out of the negative.
And this was from a rate study we had just done.
Yep, in 2019.
Okay.
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. This is a motion and a second for the third and final reading of Ordinance 739. Call for a roll call vote for that, please.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, third reading, Ordinance 739 passes. Thanks to the staff for getting those water rate increases, the rate studies and things. It's always good to hear from the experts and all of that. Agenda item number 8, second reading of Ordinance 740, amending the zoning ordinances of the City of Haywarden. It's all listed there on your agenda. I'll refer again to Mike for an overview.
So through the years, we found out as people were applying for building permits that some of our restrictions were so tight, we have denied a lot of building permits. Jim and I talked about it and we went to planning and zoning. And what this does is it allows us to deny a building permit and then allows them to apply to the BZA for a variance or an exception. It loosens up some of the exceptions, so then the Board of Zoning Adjustment can look at it and they can determine if it fits into their adjustments. Prior to that, there was just so very few things that they could allow a variance or an adjustment on. This will open that up more, leave it to a board of 5 people to then determine whether it's allowed or not.
Questions about the second reading of Ordinance 740? Is there a motion for the second reading?
Moved.
Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rob. Roll call vote, please, for the second reading of Ordinance 740.
Kurth.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
5-0 roll call vote. The second reading Ordinance 740 passes. Next will be at our regular meeting. Agenda item number 9, authorization for a reserve officer to carry weapons. I'll refer to Corey, please.
What this is anytime we have a new reserve officer, they have to go through a firearms qualification. I'm the firearms instructor, and Adam Terhar is our newest reserve, who has just finished that up here last Saturday, and he did quite well. We shot over 600 rounds in various situations, and he shows that he's more than proficient with a handgun. The state of Iowa requires us to notify the council and get their approval for them to carry a firearm.
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor then of the authorization for the reserve officer to carry his weapon, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Corey, thanks for working with that person, keeping them safe. Next is the fiscal year 2021 Urban Renewal Report. We'll go to Jacob for that, please.
So this report is due every year by December 1st, and it is just an actuals of what we spent our TIF monies on the year prior, ending on June 30th, 2021, and it just needs to get approved. There's not anything that we can change on it. It is exactly what we budgeted for, so.
Is there a motion for the approval of the fiscal year 2021 Urban Renewal Report?
So move.
Moved by Rob,
I'll second.
seconded by Jen. All in favor of that report, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Jacob and I thank you. That passes 5-0. Presentation and approval of the annual finance report. We'll talk to finance again. Jacob.
As you guys could see in your guys' report, this is the actuals of everything that happened. We did well in almost every single one of the areas. One of the areas that we did go over budget on was due to the revolving loan funds. When we give them out at the end in June and we didn't budget for them, they hit against the debt service fund. And then, I mean, we want to get the money out to those people, so that's about all I've got for that. And then, looks like we actually were pretty positive in the general fund this year, so.
You have questions of Jacob about those financial items?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor then of the approval of the annual finance report, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Jacob, thanks for your work with that and the financial end of things. Move on to agenda item number 12, a discussion on telecom. I'll refer probably to Mike with that, please.
Just kind of a follow-up to what I talked about at the last meeting was Reconnect 2022 program that had just come out actually the day of our meeting. Didn't know a lot about it. I did have a phone conversation with Dan Davis from Consortia Consulting, and he was able to analyze that it's either a grant, a loan, or a grant and a loan. And it's a competitive procedure. But Consortia had told me that they've applied for them in the past, and it takes about 60 hours of their time plus engineering time, so there's a cost to apply. So they estimated the cost $20,000 to $30,000 to apply for the grant, and then Dan went through each step on it's based on points, and in the end he felt that Haywarden would be able to score a possibility of 45 out of 150 points, or a 25 to 30% chance of being able to qualify for any of the grant funding. He said he would gladly apply for it for us, but the outlook didn't look real promising. So just wanted to update the council on that. If you guys want to move forward with it, let me know. But if it was a free grant that we could get written, I'd be worth it all day. But with the cost of this one, he said they're really complicated. I guess I have to take his word for it because I am not sure on that. So,
What's the deadline to apply?
it's February, but they did recommend that if we were going to apply for the grant, that we start around the 1st of December because it's that time consuming.
Okay.
And there again, in the end, you don't know if it's gonna be a loan, low interest loan, a loan grant combination, or a grant. I did lay out all the criteria and his recommendations, under each one. But one of the 25 points is you have to be located more than 100 miles of an urban area of 50,000 people or more. But we have Sioux City and Sioux Falls at 50 miles. So take a look at it. I'd be more than willing to hear your input on it. So the other thing is we're getting ready to move some analog channels to digital. We're going to start with some of the local channels. We're going to take them off air. We are going to publicize it and have people call in if they can. Say like we take 4 off air. If people can't get 4.1 or something, so we know how many out there don't have TVs that are capable of HD and things like that, or would need a set-top box and things like that. So it's kind of going to be a soft test of we'll take a few down, see what we get for phone calls, and then maybe take a few more down with our analog channels. The amps are in, or Ron said he's got to do some figuring with them, and we're still waiting for an estimate to get those all installed.
working with Long Lines with that?
Long Lines, we've talked to Long Lines on that. It sounds like we're looking at an outside company that would come in and install those. I do have a meeting coming up with Paul Bergman from Long Lines in reference to the contract. He wanted to come and meet and go over some things, so we're looking at that. And I don't know if anybody knew Brent Olson. Brent Olson was a GM with Long Lines. He has left the company, went to other adventures, so.
Any questions from council in regard to telecom at this point?
What is the potential amount on the Reconnect 2021? Is it kind of a
Didn't
win?
have a set amount. They said conceivably it could pay for a fiber to the home project for Haywarden, if we were, you know, if we were to qualify or if we were to be successful in the grant. A couple of the places where we felt that we could score points. You know, they look at poverty rates, they look at, but it's gotta be really poor, like 75%, which our poverty rate is over that. We're a local government, so that equipped us for 15 points. I mean, we get credit for that. We could get some points for affordability. You create lower tier packages to make it affordable, that everybody can afford it. And then net neutrality, we could score some points for that. But there were, you know, out of the 10 categories, there were 7 of them which he didn't feel we would score very well in. So it's out there. It's a risk, but
with Premier coming in, they probably wouldn't give it to us, right? I mean, that if there's gonna be fiber to the home with another company, why would they give a grant for
you
that?
know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
But I'm just saying that that's, the whole concept is to help the underserved areas.
Right.
If we've got somebody that's serving the area, it'd save the grant money for those that need it, right?
You know, that's.
I mean, that's what I would assume, that's, every grant I've ever seen is, they love it when they can pick up, choose who they have to, and they've got things that make you ineligible right away, that would.
I mean, quite frankly, Dan Davis felt that this was more for the southern areas that are very sparsely populated of the United States, that are very sparsely populated. If you're on tribal lands, you get, you know, more points if you, so, I mean, it's for the very underserved. There is language in there about a 25 and 3, 25 down, 3 up cap, but it also then states something about 100 down and a 20 up. Well, we can do the 100 down, but we can't do the 20 upload. So he felt that would get our foot in the door, but whether we would score enough points beyond that would be very risky.
Okay, thank you for your conversation in regards to telecom. We'll move on to agenda item number 13, budget planning session.
With this, I guess, with my impending leaving and with, you know, who knows when we would get somebody else in, we kind of wanted to go over some budget things that we've struggled with over the years. First one, I'm going to start out with insurance. We got our insurance rate increase, which starts January 1st, but we start deducting that out of their checks December 1st. And right now, we're looking at about a 10.4% increase in our health insurance again. And last year, we kind of withstood a 17% increase, but in talking to our agent, we are going to be expecting just a minimum of an 8% increase from here on for being part of a pool. We're in an older pool. They don't offer the plan anymore, and there's people in that pool, but as the rates go up, they pull out, which causes our cost to increase to cover, or everybody's cost to increase to cover that. So he really recommended that we start looking at another plan. I've put this sheet in front of everybody that shows our current plan will, if we leave everything the same, our annual will be $39,361.
This is monthly.
Our monthly cost. We could go to the same plan and just tweak the deductibles, which would make our monthly cost $35,277, which keeps us close to what we're paying now, within a couple $1,000s. Or we can go to an ACA completely different alternative plan, which would reduce it even farther. I guess at this point, I would recommend, if we're gonna change, we go to the grandmothered alternative, which they call it, for this year, to try and keep our premiums somewhat steady. And then in August or September of next year, we start looking at other plans and able to bid them out and have some time for that. Right now, we just don't have time with I mean, we're given the numbers, hey, they're going up, here's what they are. We don't have time to explore other plans before the new rates go into effect. This would give us more time. It would keep our rates fairly similar to what we're paying now, but would also give staff enough time to look at other alternatives and present to council.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this plan keeps it fairly similar to what it was last year anyway.
It keeps all your co-pays and all of your prescription meds the same. It also would give us, I mean, it does raise deductibles. I do suggest that, and we do have enough from what we're putting in our self-insurance fund. We don't believe that we would have to raise that at all. We would still cover half the deductibles as we do now, even with the raised increased prices, and wouldn't have to put any extra away. So that would be my recommendation. The ACA alternative is probably a good plan. There's just a lot of differences that, with the short time period, are hard to get out, hard to give to everybody.
Yep, I'm fine with them.
So
Grandmothered.
Good.
everybody in
Grandmother,
agreement with the grandmothered alternative?
Yep. Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Couple other things, you know, any of the contributions, I look for all the contributions to remain the same. One of the big ones is the rides. That's kind of up in the air. You know, we budget $8,000 a year for rides. Well, this year they didn't provide it. It doesn't look like upcoming they're gonna be able to. We budgeted for it anyway. We won't spend the money, obviously, if we don't have it. But maybe in checking with rides as we go through the budget process, if they don't see a change coming, I can see just removing that from the budget altogether. And if something would happen, we can always amend to include that in there. But it's been 2 years now. And, you know, even though we budget for it, things haven't changed. I've talked to them lately, they just can't find drivers. They can't find drivers to serve the communities. It's not an issue of not wanting to be here. It's, there's nobody there, and they're struggling in all their communities to find drivers. So, any, the other contributions, of course, we do are the senior center and the chamber. Unless I hear different, we will continue on. So, and then the last thing is the loss funds. As you know, since July, we've been getting 25% of the loss funds. Do you know what that is, Jacob, so far? About 10,000 a month?
About, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we've got 4 months worth of it so far, so about 40,000.
Yeah. We haven't earmarked those for anything. We haven't had the conversations on council. I mean, there was a lot of ideas. I guess for me, I would suggest that we just let that collect, and then next November, when we go through the budget cycle, we'll look at what the previous year's was, and then you'll know exactly how much, or what you want to use it for, rather than just guess, say it's gonna
Yeah.
stay at 10,000 a month or whatever, so. That's about it over the budget. We're gonna start getting, into the budget probably in January. I will continue to go through that as far as I can, and then it'll be turned over to a new administrator and a new council. We can't wait till then to do it, because that'll put us on way too tight of a crunch for the state deadline, so. But anything we do will be able to be changed or tweaked after January.
Any questions from council in regard to the budget planning session? Talked about the insurance contributions, lost funds. Okay, that's always, last number of years, we've done a fine job with budgets and meeting those budgets. So we'll have a special meeting next week, Wednesday at 5:30, the 17th. Okay. And nothing else to come before this board. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? City Council's adjourned. Thanks for your great work, City Council members. Sorry.
6:11.